like a replying harp to the insisting calling of a flute, answered her questioning and let stream to her his heart in many colored waves of speech. O golden princess, perfect Savitri, wilt thou not make this mortal bliss thy sphere? Descend, O happiness, with thy moon gold feet, enrich earth's floors upon whose sleep we lie. O Satyavan, I have heard thee, and I know that thou and only thou art he. Then down she came from her high carven car, descending with a soft and faltering haste, her gleaming feet upon the green gold sward scattered a memory of wandering bees, and lightly pressed the unspoken desire of earth, cherished in her too brief passing by the soil.
Good morning. So we're reading in Book 5, the Book of Love, Canto 3, Satyavan and Savitri. We've come to page 407, the fifth line from the top. So this is a particularly beautiful canto. And the part that we will read now, we will see the marriage of Satyavan and Savitri. They have met and they have introduced themselves to each other, described the feelings that they had on meeting each other, recognizing deep within themselves some long recognition from past lives, perhaps, but something in their soul they felt that they already knew each other, and that in a sense this was a destined moment for them at which their lives become truly fulfilled or begin in a fuller sense of their selves. The canto is fairly straightforward, except we should always keep in mind who Savitri and Satyavan represent. So Satyavan represents the soul, the divine part of our being who has descended into ignorance and death, into this world, this earth. And Savitri represents the daughter of the sun, the goddess of the supreme truth who has come down on earth to save. So we see the symbolism of that throughout this canto. We see Savitri always represented in golden colors, like light coming from the sun representing the divine truth. And Satyavan frequently is embedded in the green of the earth, enclosed in the forest canopy around the green leaves surrounding him. So he's emerging out of the earth, the soul within the earth. And now they're meeting, this divine soul of the earth, meeting the supreme truth who has come down from above to save the soul. So if we can just keep in mind that deeper meaning and symbolism, then this becomes more clear and straightforward. So we can continue. Let's start reading. We have microphone? Or? Yeah, okay.
Where?
Fifth line from the top on 407.
I shall feel the warm mother in thy golden limbs.
No, 407,
Oh, sorry.
fifth line from the top.
So a truth. A truth.
Yes.
A truth was felt that screened its shape from mine, a greatness working towards a hidden end, and vaguely through the forms of earth there looked something that life is not and yet must be. I grope for the mystery with a lantern, thought, its glimmerings lighted with the abstract word, a half-visible ground, and traveling jar by jar, it mapped a system of the self and God. I could not leave the truth it spoke and thought. I turned to seize its form in visible things, hoping to fix its rule by mortal mind, impose a narrow structure of wall law upon the freedom of the infinite, a hard, firm skeleton of outward truth, a mental scheme of a mechanic power. This light showed more the darkness unsearched. It made the original secrecy more occult. It could not analyze its cosmic veil or glimpse the wonder worker's hidden hand and trace the pattern of his magic plans.
Thank you. So this is a continuation of Satyavan's explanation to Savitri of what she means to him. And he's explaining, just in the previous passage that was read last time, he says, even a brief nearness, her nearness, has reshaped my life. For now I know that all I lived and was moved towards this moment of my heart's rebirth. I look back on the meaning of myself, a soul made ready on earth's soil for thee. And then he explains that before, once were my days like days of other men, to think and act was all, to enjoy and breathe. This was the width and height of mortal hope. Yet there came glimpses of a deeper self that lives behind life and makes her act its scene. So this is the continuation from that point. And he's explaining that he has felt some deeper truth, some meaning in life, but it's been hidden from him. He hasn't really been able to find the key to the meaning of life. He says he felt a greatness working towards a hidden end, something that life is not and yet must be. And he groped for the mystery. He was searching for this mystery with the lantern thought, with the dim light of thought and reason. And its glimmerings lighted with the abstract word. Its understandings, which are illuminated with words, with ideas, a half-visible ground, and traveling yard by yard. Slowly he was piecing together some meaning and significance of life. It mapped a system of the self and God. So through thought, he developed a philosophical understanding of life. And then he says something very interesting. I could not live the truth it spoke and thought. He could understand, perhaps, the philosophical meaning of life, but yet he couldn't put it into reality in his physical life. There's something missing from thought. It doesn't always carry the power to make those ideas effective in our life. We can understand Sri Aurobindo's teaching, but to make it real, to make it living, is still another matter, another step. So he explains further that he tried to kind of fix a clear idea of the nature of existence, hoping to fix its rule by mortal mind, imposed a narrow structure of world law upon the freedom of the infinite. Our thought imposes some kind of rigid structure to understand the flexibility, the infinity of nature. We can't deal with that subtlety with our minds, so we restrict it. We put it into narrow little bounds, into words and concepts that we can piece together. a hard, firm skeleton of outward truth. It also deals with the outward truths of existence much more than the inner truths, which are much harder to seize. A mental scheme of a mechanic power. So he says, this light showed more the darknesses unsearched. He could see more clearly that there was so much more he could not understand or fathom, the deeper significances that lay beneath the surfaces of life, which he could see and to some extent map out. But there are all these occult realities behind. It could not analyze its cosmic veil or glimpse the wonder worker's hidden hand and trace the pattern of his magic plans. He couldn't see the forces working beneath things. So we'll continue, Sony.
I plunged into an inner seeing mind. I knew the secret laws and sorceries, but made of matters mind's bewildered slave. The mystery was not solved, but deepened more. I strove to find its hints through beauty and art, but form cannot unveil the indwelling power. Only it throws its symbol at our hearts. It invoked a mood of self, invoked a sign of the brooding glory hidden in sense. I lived in the ray, but faced not to the sun. I looked upon the world and missed the self. And when I found the self, I lost the world. My other selves are lost, and the body of God. The link of the finite with the infinite. The bridge between the appearance and the truth. The mystic aim for which the world was made. The human sense of immortality.
Thank you. Let's pause then. After analyzing the world for its significances through the mind, through the outward reason, through philosophy, he went deeper into his mind, into an inner seeing mind. It suggests to me something of the occult sciences, like maybe some of the formulas and things of Tantra or of astrology or of these kinds of inner sciences that try to understand the outward life by something deeper within, these deeper laws, deeper correspondences that are there, and knew the secret laws and sorceries that make of matter mind's bewildered slave. So these are powers of mind that work on matter to control it. But even then, the mystery was not solved, but deepened more. And then he turned to the arts. I strove to find its hints through beauty and art. But form cannot unveil the indwelling power. Only it throws its symbols at our hearts. It evoked a mood of self, invoked a sign of all the brooding glory hidden in sense. I lived in the ray, but faced not to the sun. We can also catch something of the deeper realities through beauty, through art. Capture these kind of eternal significances in a form, in the smile of the Mona Lisa or the subtle smile of the Buddha. Something deeper within is expressed, but still these are but symbols of this deeper reality, and he could not still come into direct touch with that deeper reality. It invoked a mood, he had a sense of it, but he couldn't really touch that truth. And in the next sentence, he describes something still deeper, kind of a spiritual search, perhaps. I looked upon the world and missed the self. When he looked outwardly, he could see the forms, but he was missing the inner reality, the self of all of those forms. And then when he looked deep within and found the self, he lost the world. He entered into that transcendent truth or reality, but it seemed divorced from the outer world in which it was being expressed. He plunged deep within, opened up to perhaps some infinite experience inwardly, but he was withdrawn from the world. My other selves I lost, and the body of God. He lost the relation with others and with the form of the world, which is the body of God, of that inner self that he was experiencing. The link of the finite with the infinite. The bridge between the appearance and the truth. The mystic aim for which the world was made. After all, why is this world here? It was to express that inner truth. The human sense of immortality. We have a sense of the immortality of the spirit. But what about the human sense of immortality? How does that get translated in our life, in our world? Perhaps that's something still for the future. Okay, we'll continue.
But now the gold link comes to me with thy feet, and his gold sun has shone on me from thy face. For now another realm draws near with thee, and now diviner voices fill my ear. A strange new world swims to me in thy gaze, approaching like a star from unknown heavens. A cry of spheres comes with thee, and a song of flaming gods. I draw a wealthier breath, and in a fierier march of moments move. My mind transfigures to a rapturous seer. A foam leap traveling from the waves of bliss has changed my heart and changed the earth around. All with thy coming fills. Air, soil, and stream wear bridal raiment to be fit for thee. And sunlight grows a shadow of thy hue, because of change within me by thy look.
Thank you. So Satyavan is expressing what he feels in now meeting Savitri. And he's explaining that before I was searching for truth, but there was always something missing, that link between the ultimate reality, God, and the world, my life. But now, with thy coming, that link is being established. And here again, Sri Aurobindo repeats this gold color, but now the gold link comes to me with thy feet, and his gold sun has shone on me from thy face. And we should say too that Sri Aurobindo speaks of the gold and the sun as representing the supermind in his philosophy. So she's bringing that supramental truth and power, and it's the supermind that links the transcendent realm of the divine with the manifestation. That is the golden link. So that had been missing. One could go into the transcendent or one could live in the manifestation, but one could never establish any true and eternal living link between the two. That was missing. And Savitri has come. The avatar of the Supreme Mother has come, descended, in order to establish that link. So he feels this coming, this link being established. For now another realm draws near with thee, and now diviner voices fill my ear. A strange new world swims to me in thy gaze. The coming of the supramental truth and power comes also a transformation of the world, a new world, Mother said. A new world is born, she said, when the supermind descended. So he feels that drawing near. Approaching like a star from unknown heavens, a cry of spheres comes with thee and a song of flaming gods. A foam leap traveling from the waves of bliss has changed my heart and changed the earth around. All with thy coming fills, air, soil, and stream, wear bridal raiment to be fit for thee. That presence, that supramental light and power fills all of nature, material nature. Some new influx of a diviner presence has come into physical nature and is being filled with that. And sunlight grows a shadow of thy hue because of change within me by thy look. So we continue.
Come nearer to me from thy car of light, on this green sward, disdaining not our soil. For here are secret spaces made for thee, whose caves of emerald long to screen thy form. Wilt thou not make this mortal bliss thy spear? Descend, O happiness, with thy moon gold feet, enrich earth's floors upon whose sleep we lie. O my bright beauty's princess Savitri, by my delight and thy own joy compelled, enter my life, thy chamber, and thy shrine. In the great quietness where spirits meet, led by my hushed desire into my woods, let the dim rustling arches over thee lean, on with the breath of things eternal live. Thy heart beats near to mine, till there shall leap enchantment from the fragrance of the flowers. A moment which all murmurs shall recall, and every bird remember in its cry.
Thank you. That symbolism of this meeting is here expressed so directly, so beautifully. He's asking her to descend, this supramental light and forth, to descend. Come near to me from thy car of light. On this green sward, disdaining not our soil, come down onto this green field, step down out of your chariot onto this green field. Don't disdain our earthly matter, our soil here. Come onto the soil, for here are secret spaces made for thee, whose caves of emerald long to screen thy form. So again, the emerald is the green of the forest, the trees. They long to have this divine presence here to enclose that. Wilt thou not make this mortal bliss thy sphere? It's a call to the divine to come into this world, make it its own. Descend, O happiness, with thy moon gold feet, enrich earth's floors upon whose sleep we lie. It's a beautiful turn of phrase, upon whose sleep we lie. Earth's floors, the soil, made of matter, but inconscient matter. It's asleep. It's not conscious, it's not awakened. But come into this matter. O my bright beauty's Princess Savitri, by my delight and thy own joy compelled, you must come. For my delight and for your delight, let's mingle this earth and heaven. Enter my life, thy chamber, and thy shrine. This physical life can become a shrine, a little temple for the divine presence to fill. The great quietness where spirits meet, led by my hushed desire into my woods, let the dim rustling arches over thee lean, one with the breath of things eternal live. Live eternally with the breath of things, this living, breathing earth. Thy heart beats near to mine, till there shall leap enchanted from the fragrance of the flowers a moment which all murmurs shall recall, and every bird remember in its cry. In that union of the divine and the divine soul, it shall be remembered forever. Every bird will remember in its cry. This descent of the supramental Divine Mother on earth. Continue.
Allured to her lashes by his passionate words, her fathomless soul looked out at him from her eyes. Passing her lips, in liquid sounds it spoke. This word alone she uttered, and said all. O Satyavan, I have heard thee, and I know that thou, and only thou art he. Then down she came from her high caravan car, descending with a soft and faltering haste. Her many-hued raiment, glistening in the light, hovered a moment over the wind-stirred grass, mixed with the glimmer of her body's ray, like lovely plumage of a settling bird. Her gleaming feet upon the green-gold sward scattered a memory of wandering beams, and lightly pressed the unspoken desire of earth, cherished in her too brief passing by the soil.
Thank you. Look at the beauty of these two first lines. Allured to her lashes by his passionate words, her fathomless soul looked out at him from her eyes. Her soul was allured to her lashes, came out to her eyes by his passionate words, and looked out at him from her eyes. Her soul was drawn out to her eyes. And then, passing her lips in liquid sounds, it spoke. Again, it's her soul speaking through her lips now. This word alone she uttered and said all. O Satyavan, I have heard thee, and I know that thou and only thou art he. Now there might be a few different layers of significance here. At one level, she knows that he is the one that she has been seeking. She has gone out into the world on this long journey looking for her soulmate, as was requested by her father. And now she knows she has found him. Her soul, first it looked out at him through her eyes, and then it spoke through her lips. It's beautiful. But then there is also this deeper significance of the divine Shakti, the divine mother, and the divine Purusha, the divine being. He will refer to that again later. But we see also, like in this meeting of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, when she saw Sri Aurobindo also, I don't remember if she said something similar, but she knew that it was he, it was the divine being. And then again, she comes down. Always Savitri is coming down from above onto this earth to fulfill it. Descending with a soft and faltering haste, her many-hued raiment glistening in the light. It's as if she's coming out of heaven, glistening in rainbow hues of color and light. Hovered a moment over the wind-stirred grass. Again, the green grass, the gold green grass now, mixing with her gold color. Mixed with a glimmer of her body's ray, like lovely plumage of a settling bird. Her gleaming feet upon the green gold sward. The earth is already mixing with this gold of supermind of the Divine Mother. Scattered a memory of wandering beams and lightly pressed the unspoken desire of earth. It touched that unspoken desire of earth for fulfillment, for the divine, for an ease of its pain and suffering, its ignorance. Cherished in her too brief passing by the soil. She comes down, touches the soil very briefly. So we continue, Helmut.
Then, flitting like pale brilliant moths, her hands took from the sylvan verge sunlit arms a load of their jewel faces clustering psalms, companions of the springtime and the breeze. A candid garland set with simple forms, her rapid fingers taught a flower song, the stunt-side movement of a marriage hymn. Profound in perfume and immersed in hue, they mixed their yearnings, colored signs, and made the bloom of their purity and passion one. A sacrament of joy in treasuring palms, she brought, flower symbol of her offered life, then with the raised hands that trembled a little now, at the very closeness that her soul desired, this bond of sweetness, their bright union sign, she laid on the bosom covered by her love.
Thank you. So Savitri comes down, plucks some flowers from the trees, and knits together a garland for him and her to exchange as a symbol of their marriage. A candid garland set with simple forms. Her rapid fingers taught a flower song, the stanzad movement of a marriage hymn. Stanzas are the different segments of a poem. Like that, the flowers, one by one, represented different aspects. They mixed their yearnings, colored signs, and made the bloom of their purity and passion one. She brought flower symbol of her offered life, then raised hands that trembled a little now at the very closeness that her soul desired, the bond of sweetness, their bright union sign, she laid on the bosom coveted by her love. She places the garland on Satyavan. And we'll continue. Tinika.
As if inclined before some gracious God, who has out of his mist of greatness shone to fill with beauty his adorer ours, she bowed and touched his feet with worshipping hands. She made her life his world for him to tread, and made her body the room of his delight, her beating heart a remembrancer of bliss. He bent to her and took into his own their married yearning joined like folded hopes, as if a whole rich world suddenly possessed, wedded to all he had been, became himself, and inexhaustible joy made his alone. He gathered all Savitri into his clasp. Around her, his embrace became the sign of a locked closeness through slow, intimate years. A first sweet summary of delight to come, one brevity intense of all long life.
Thank you. Savitri bows before Satyavan, touches his feet with worshipping hands, and made her life his world for him to tread, and made her body the room of his delight, her beating heart a remembrancer of bliss. She offers herself completely to Satyavan. And then he bent to her and took into his own their married yearning, joined like folded hopes. He gathers Savitri into his arms, as if a whole rich world suddenly possessed, wedded to all he had been, became himself. An inexhaustible joy made his alone. he gathered all Savitri into his clasp. And that embrace became the sign of a locked closeness through slow, intimate years. A first sweet summary of delight to come. One brevity intense of all long life. It's interesting how Sri Aurobindo kind of emphasizes this long life and slow, intimate years, even though, as we'll see, Satyavan has only 1 year to live, as foretold by Narad in the next book. So we'll continue.
As when a soul is merging into God.
No, a little bit before that, in a wide moment.
Where?
Just a few lines up.
Okay. In a wide moment of two souls that meet, she felt her being flow into him, as in waves, a river pours into a mighty sea. As when a soul is merging into God, to live in him forever and know his joy, her consciousness grew, aware of him alone, and all her separate self was lost in his. As a starry heaven encircled happy earth, he shut her into himself in a circle of bliss, and shut the world into himself and her. A boundless isolation made them one. He was aware of her enveloping him, and let her penetrate his very soul, as is a world by the world's spirit filled, as a mortal wake into eternity, as the finite open to the infinite. Thus were they in each other lost awhile, then drawing back from their long ecstasy trance, came into new self and a new world.
Thank you. Pause. Here we see that deeper union taking place between Satyavan and Savitri, the divine soul and the Supreme Mother, becoming one, flowing into each other, embracing each other in oneness. In a wide moment of two souls that meet, she felt her being flow into him as in waves a river pours into a mighty sea. So she felt herself flowing into him as if he was a wide sea, that Purusha, that divine consciousness, her force, her bliss flowing into that infinity, as when a soul is merging into God. To live in Him forever and know His joy. So that union felt like that when we open up to the divine being, merge into that oneness with the divine. Her consciousness grew aware of Him alone, and all her separate self was lost in His. And He too experiences something complementary as a starry heaven encircles happy earth. He shut her into Himself in a circle of bliss and shut the world into Himself and her. A boundless isolation made them one. He was aware of her enveloping Him and let her penetrate His very soul, as is the world, by the world's spirit filled. And in a sense, that's the deeper thing that is happening here. The world is being filled by this Spirit. As the mortal wakes into eternity, as the finite opens to infinity. The soul that Satyavan represents is opening to the divine infinity, eternity. And thus were they in each other lost a while, in that oneness, in that infinity and delight. Then, drawing back from their long ecstasy's trance, came into a new self and a new world. In that union between the soul of the earth and the Divine Mother brings a new world. A transformed world. So we'll continue.
Each now was a part of the other's unity. The world was but their twin self-findings extinct, or their own wedded being's vaster frame. On the high glowing cupola of the day, fate tied a knot with morning's halo threads, while by the ministry of an auspicious hour, heart-bound before the sun, their marriage fire, the wedding of the eternal Lord and spouse, took place again on earth in human forms. In a new act of the drama of the world, the united two began a greater age. In the silence and murmur of that emerald wall, and the mutter of the priest wind's sacred verse, amid the choral whispering of the leaves, love's twain had joined together and grew one. The natural miracle was wrought once more. In the immutable ideal world, one human moment was eternal made.
Thank you. The soul and the divine being are now united. The world was but their twin self-finding scene. The world is simply the scene of this union of the soul and the divine, or their own wedded being's vaster frame. Vaster frame, a wider form of that union, expressive of it. On the high glowing cupola of the day, cupola is like a dome under which people often get married. Fate tied a knot with morning's halo threads, while by the ministry of an auspice hour, heart-bound before the sun, their marriage fire, the wedding of the eternal Lord and spouse took place again on earth in human forms. So perhaps this wedding, this marriage of the Lord and his Shakti, the Divine Mother, their incarnations, representatives here on earth, join. And it's interesting too that Sri Aurobindo says in his author's note, "Still, this is not a mere allegory. The characters are not personified qualities, but incarnations or emanations of living and conscious forces with whom we can enter into concrete touch. And they take human bodies in order to help man and show him the way from his mortal state to a divine consciousness and immortal life." We see some hints of what he expresses here in the meeting of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. They also had that sense when they united, when they met on the staircase in the ashram, that this was the time in which the new creation would come. The united two began a greater age. They were to bring together the earth and the supramental light and force and create a new age, a divine world, a divine age, spiritual age here on earth. So this story is representative of a meeting that took place long back, thousands of years back, between the Lord and the Shakti. So we just have kind of the closing of this canto. Why don't we just read through that and just to complete the canto. Okay. You read? Are you finished reading, or you finished? So then, Son.
then down the narrow path where their lives had met. He led and showed to her her future world, love's refuge and corner of happy solitude. At the path's end, through a green cleft in the trees, she saw a clustering line of hermit hoofs, and looked now first on her heart's future home, the thatch that covered the life of Satyavan. Adored with creepers and red climbing flowers, it seemed a sylvan beauty in her dreams, slumbering with brown body and tumbling hair in her chamber in violet of emerald peace. Around it stretched the forest anchor-light mood, lost in the depths of its own solitude. Then, moved by the deep joy, she could not speak, a little depth of it quivering in her words. A happy voice cried out to Satyavan, "My heart will stay here on this forest verge, and close to this thatched roof while I'm far. Now of more wandering it has no need, but I must haste back to my father's house, which soon will lose one loved accustomed tread, and listen in vain for a voice cherished once. For soon I shall return, nor ever gain. Oneness must sever its recovered bliss. Our fate sunder our lives while life is ours. Once more she mounted on the caravan's car, and under the door of a fairy noon, less bright than the splendor of her thoughts and dreams, she sped swift, reigned swift-hearted, but still saw, in still lucidities of sight's inner world, through the cool, scented wood's luxurious gloom, on shadowy paths between great rugged trunks, paced towards a tranquil clearing, Satyavan, a nave of trees enshrined the hermit's thatch, the new deep cover of her felicity, preferred to haven her soul's temple and home. This now remained with her, a heart's constant scene.
So very simply, Sri Aurobindo closes this canto and this book. Satyavan leads Savitri into the forest to the hermitage where he lives and shows her his home. And Savitri says that this will now be her home, but she must hurry back and tell her father and mother of her choice, of her wish to stay with Satyavan, of her marriage. And so she speeds off again back to her home, to the palace from which she's come on her journey, on her search for her mate. And as she goes, she senses in her inner vision, her inner sight, this beautiful hermitage in the forest, Satyavan there, coming out towards a clearing, watching her depart. But this was now the deep covert of her felicity, preferred to heaven, her soul's temple and home. So this now remained with her, her heart's constant scene. This earth, this forest, this hermitage now is with her constantly in her thought and her vision. So that concludes Book 5, and we'll continue next time. Thank you. So we have some music.
As if a whole ritual suddenly possessed, wedded to all he had been, became himself. An inexhaustible joy made his alone. He gathered all Savitri into his craft.
thanks to Sri Aurobindo.